What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Ben Thomas Show. Thanks for coming back. Today I've got an interesting one. I've collected a figure in my collection after seeing the Black Adam film that I was initially excited about. But you ever have one of those experiences as you unbox a figure, you're kind of like, I don't know if I really like this all that much. Yeah, that was this one for me today. But stick around because I'd love to show you what I got. If you like the video, hit the like button for me, smash the subscribe if you're new to the channel, and let's get into it. Okay, so totally one of my favorite things to do is when I go to the film, I always look in the concession to see if there's a figure standing there for the film I'm about to see. And I went with my fiance this particular time to see Black Adam a couple weeks back, and I saw the figure standing there. Now, there are two different versions of this Mcfarlane figure. There's this version, and then there is the hooded version, the kind of that hooded version we get to see from the beginning of the film. Don't want to give too much away, just in case you haven't seen it yet. They only had this option. Now, in the window of the box, I would say that I think that the hooded version looks cooler. In terms of Hot Toys collectibles down the line, I'm definitely going to get the black suited version of Dwayne Johnson here, or Black Adam. But since they only had this option and I wanted to go home with a figure, I grabbed this guy. Now, pulling him out of the clamshell here, you can see it is pretty bare bones with what this guy comes with. Now, I mean, again, Mcfarlane figures, you get what you pay for, right? They come with typically the standard card in the back that you see there, that collectible card if you want, and that round circular display base at the bottom. A lot of the time, I honestly leave those in the box in my storage room. Yes, I keep the Mcfarlane boxes as well. Now, I do think it's worthy of noting that the Dwayne Johnson card, as well as the picture on the back, are a badass photo of Black Adam. And I can definitely see the likeness in Dwayne Johnson in this figure just sitting here in the plastic. But getting him out of the plastic, you already start to notice a couple of imperfections, mostly with the paint applications. We'll get into that kind of briefly here. The other thing I don't love about figures like this, and Hot Toys does the same thing, it's those yellow electricity energy effects that come with these guys. They're so brittle, they kind of look plasticky, they just cheapen the figure a little bit to me. Now again, this is kind of an under $35 figure, so that works for me when it comes to this guy. For the Hot Toys releases, I definitely don't love those energy effects. Now again, I'm trying not to be too critical of this figure because again, it's an under $35 figure. But when I got the Batman from the Batman film recently, the Pattinson one, I loved that figure. I thought it looked badass, it was posable, it looks really good on the Batcycle. This guy looks incomplete, and I think it's partially because of all of the joints that this guy has. You see screws, you see joints, you see head swivel. Like, there is a bunch of things that really make this guy look like a toy, not necessarily a figure. Again, maybe that's too critical based on the price point. But where I think I'm struggling the most is two things: the paint application and the posability. He just doesn't look that realistic in his poses, even with different lighting. Usually I can kind of tweak a Mcfarlane figure to look a little bit more real in the lighting. Not really getting that with this guy, and to be honest, it's really lacking that hooded cape look to me. I think that would have covered some of the shoulder joints, some of the kind of the ugliness of this particular figure. It's stuff that I don't think we're going to get out of either an InArt or a Hot Toys collectible when we get those larger scale figures, because they're going to be a little bit more on the seamless side. Whereas this guy is just looking so much like a toy to me. It feels kind of light, feels a little cheap, and I'm just having a hard time making it look like a badass Dwayne Johnson figure. And I mean, look at the ball joint at the shoulder there. It's got a noticeable gap. It's got noticeable gaps around the waist. The paint applications on the hands specifically are pretty rough. It looks like this is almost a used figure, even though I've got it brand new out of box. it also has these ugly pegs all over the place. So you can't necessarily make him really look like he's got real arms. It looks so much like a toy. I'm just not loving it. And again, maybe I'm being a little too critical. Look at the paint applications on the hands. They're bleeding, they're chipping, just not all that good. And on the head sculpt itself, it's got this what looks like a mole on the side of his head, just paint missing. Same with the top of the skull, just looking real rough. So for me, I would recommend, if you're interested in this figure, hold off for the hooded version or the Hot Toys one down the line if you can afford it. This would not be one that I would recommend picking up. But those are my really quick thoughts on this figure, guys. What are your thoughts? If you have any, leave them in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you. Otherwise, thanks for watching. If you hit the like button, I appreciate it. Subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I'll catch you guys on the next figure preview video. Have a great afternoon, everybody.